Foundation for Community Development and Empowerment, also known as Fcde, impacts communities long-term by building up local grassroots organizations so that they can be more effective, be more strategic, and be bold in serving their beneficiaries and communities. Fcde supports 53 active local partner organizations in 6 sectors of community development: agriculture, energy and the environment, health, livelihoods, social justice, women's empowerment, and youth and education. Fcde provides customized training, strategic connections, and a range of resources to our local partner organizations to help them strengthen their performance and amplify their impact.
Working together with Fcde staff, we were able to win a grant of $30,000 from Lush UK that have enabled us train over 2,000 school children in modern farming and also set up a grocery where our beneficiaries bring their crops for better market. Thank you, Fcde, for supporting people with disabilities. Thank you so much.
I do want to thank Fcde Group for the special support they've given us, especially on teaching us on how to write a proposal, the grants that have been given to us, the trainings, special trainings, especially on strategic planning using SWOT. Thank you very much.
We have won 10 grants with the help of grant writing that we learned from Fcde. 5 were from Fcde and other 5 from other funding agencies.
We've managed to improve the maternal and child health care of over 70 mothers from the villages, Bugangala and Bwambara, and also improved the hygiene and sanitation for over 70 households. Up to now, we are still working with Fcde and has continued to build our capacity to improve the livelihood of our communities in Rukunjiri district.
Fcde helps our partners to assess, envision, and attain organizational growth that drives the community change. With direct support from Fcde, our grassroots partners have been able to cultivate new skills, secure more funding sources for their work, curate innovative initiatives benefiting their communities, build strategic external partnerships, and create strategies to further their vision and mission. Over the last decade, Fcde has worked hand in hand with more than 50 grassroots organizations to strengthen their performance and deepen their impact through multi-year partnerships that shape their communities and change lives. We will continue to empower communities in East Africa to lead their own development by increasing the effectiveness and sustainability of local organizations.
Hello, I'm Sasha Nicole, and this is Sylvia Kabuwo, who is the Country Director for the Foundation for Community Development and Empowerment in Uganda, also known as FDCE, and Rebecca Raymond, who serves as the Director of Operations, is here as well with us. So today, Rebecca and Sylvia will share with us about the work that Fcde is doing in Uganda to build local capacity and lead the community change in rural East Africa. I'm sure you will find the impacts of this work to be very inspiring. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, before we dig into the nuts and bolts of your work, could you just tell us a little bit about your background and your roles in the organization? Maybe Sylvia, do you want to?
Okay, yeah. Once again, I'm Sylvia, and I'm the Country Director for Fcde in Uganda, and I'm the Senior Representative of the team in country. And so my major role is the leadership and administration, and I share the leadership role with 2 program directors who are based at each of our sites, and they are really doing a great work in the community. I've been with Fcde since 2011 when it started, so it has been a journey of seeing the program grow. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And Rebecca?
Yes, Sylvia and I are the longest representatives of FCDE. We've both been with the organization since inception, which really is a testament to the work that we're doing in Uganda, especially Sylvia and her team there. Just to talk a little bit more about Sylvia, she's a little humble, but she started out as our program coordinator in Kasese, and she's since just grown in the organization and the roles, and is now the country director. So she went from program coordinator to program director in Rukungiri, starting our brand new site, and then eventually has moved on to country director, which oversees both sites. So she was being very humble, but she's the star and leads an amazing team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so for me, I've been, I worked with the founder in the very beginning to sort of help his vision come to be a reality in Uganda. And, you know, every day I'm just inspired by the team. And my role is more of a support role at this stage, just to really help give Sylvia and her team whatever they might need in terms of logistical support. And I do some grant writing on the side, and just really whatever the team needs from me on my end. So
Wonderful. And can you tell us a bit about the mission and the vision that guides your work at FCDE and why that matters in your implementation of it?
Our mission is rooted in our belief that locally led development transforms lives. This is because we believe that these people are part of the community, and they have lived the experience of that community and have felt the impact of some of these challenges. And so when they come up with the solutions, they are relevant to their community because they have that understanding. However, they are challenged by, there are some factors that challenge them to be able to achieve that vision of transforming their community. And so our mission is we empower them through empowering their capacity to be able to champion that, help us to realize our vision. So through the different strategies of training, connections, and networking, we are able to empower these leaders to be able to champion this process of change in their communities.
And tell us about, or what are some of the barriers that your partners face towards improving their situations? And what kind of education or training or support do they receive from FCDE to overcome these challenges?
Some of the key challenges that our partners have when we come into contact with them is they are challenged mostly by resource mobilization. You find that they don't have the skills in grant writing, yet this is the major way or avenue how they can be able to raise resources to run their programs. Then they're also having a challenge of board development. They have a board and an expected role of the board. However, you find that the board is not functional, yet it has a big role to play. So the burden ends up going back to the program teams. So that is one of the gaps that we support them in. And then the technology is a very big gap, both in terms of skills for them to be able to use the technology and to access the technology. That's computers, internet. And so part of the support we give is to address that gap, where we run a resource center lab at our offices where they can come and get training and get that. Then the other two major gaps are monitoring and evaluation. They are doing a lot, but they cannot measure how much impact they have. Sometimes it's also hard for them to design the right approaches because they are not so sure about the problem, how big the problem they're addressing is, and then the strategic planning. So those are some of the key gaps: the partnership building, how to approach a partner, how to maintain partnerships. So those are some of the challenges. And how we've worked towards improving this is working with the leaders. We organize training workshops where we build skills in the different areas like resource mobilization, writing grants, human resource management, board development, and many areas, depending on the gaps that we find. And then we have that resource center where they come for the training, then they can access a computer and internet. Then the networking with the organizations in the group that the cohorts that we train, they are able to share experiences and learn from each other.
Wow. That's fantastic. I love hearing that you see this gap and you're just filling the gap, and eventually, and that just kind of gives them the keys to do what they want to do. I think that's really neat. And technology is just so pivotal in our world today, and to address that. I'm just curious, does it tend to be a big learning curve for them to get used to using technology, or do many of them come with some experience with that already?
Some of them come with some experience, especially if they are graduates and they have gone up to university level.
Okay.
Yeah, they have some a little, you'll find that at the university we study all the theoretical piece of the computer. And so it's just the practical one. So some of them have that idea, and others completely, it's starting from teaching them all about the theoretical part of it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And, Sasha, I might just also add, with the pandemic, we really saw, the need for modern technology with our partners in terms of the onset of Zoom and having it just become an integral part of everybody's daily lives. And it was a learning curve for our team, but just to really highlight the fact that our team is so nimble that they learned how to work remotely, which is kind of a novel concept in Uganda. And then they were able to turn around so quickly to be able to teach and coach our partners how to do it too, so they can continue with their program and they can continue with networking. And so it was one of those really dynamic situations where, our team, we were learning, okay, how do we set up our modems and how do we get online and how do we have these team meetings? And then as soon as they sort of were able to pinpoint it, they said, okay, how can we help our partners do the same? We know that they need to talk to their funders. We know they need to interact with their beneficiaries. Let's get them rolling. And so it was really this unique learning experience where we were able to work in real time, to be able to learn on the job and then be able to, move forward to being able to help our partners. So it was a good showing of the staff's ability to really integrate, what we're all learning together globally.
Yeah, and that's empowering too, just to see what you're capable of. Necessity is the mother of invention, but to realize like, hey, we can take this on. And then I love what you said about the communities and turning around and teaching others and passing that knowledge on, which is really inspiring. What is the theory of change that is implemented at Fcde?
So our theory of change is starting from, we have 3 different sort of avenues where we're approaching our work. And Sylvia mentioned them a bit in terms of our mission and vision, but really unlocking resources. And so that's being able to help our organizations with grant writing and networking and fund development. And then we have the on the ground coaching and training to be able to have them get these tangible skills that they can then expand and grow their organizations. And then it's this networking piece and really being able to work in the community with other organizations and other institutions to be able to have this broad impact of change. And so it's on multiple levels. It's at the organizational level. And in many ways, it doesn't sound so sexy. Oh, we're doing organizational development, but it's really impactful. It's really impactful. And when you start at that level, you just see it come to impact the communities, because if they're able to be resourceful and be strategic in all of their planning across the board, it directly impacts the work they're doing on the ground, and they're able to grow their organization and their programs in a really meaningful way.
It's like putting gas in a car. If you don't have that, you're not going to go anywhere. So even though it doesn't sound that exciting, maybe it's crucial. It's really important. So that's fantastic. What are the ways that Fcde serves to strengthen local organizations and amplify their impact?
Our way of work is that the local leaders, they champion this process. So we work with them, and then they work with the communities to see that the change happens. So we work with each organization individually, depending on the gaps they have. But the work that we do them has to be translated into the quality of service that they are offering in their community. And so sometimes it's the case by case management, looking at the different programs that they are implementing. Sometimes how you're working with the health oriented organization is different from one which is focused on business. And the resource center is the place where they will come to network, and then they are sharing experiences, they are learning from each other. We also encourage the peer-to-peer learning. We feel that one is very practical. And there are different levels of growth. So sometimes we've paired them, one which is a bit low and then a higher one, so that they can learn from each other using the real experience lived in their community rather than from the books, from the textbooks. Yeah.
And who leads this? I'm sorry, let me rephrase. You said a little bit about this already, but how does FCDE help the communities build the capacity, and specifically who leads that change?
We work with the leaders of the organization.
Okay.
And then, the leaders, and then they have their staff. So you find that there's an executive director, there's a board, and then they have the staff. So we work with those.
Got it. Okay, so you're equipping the leaders to then lead the change that the organizations are striving to lead. Okay, I got it.
And also, I was just going to say, Sylvia also leads a women in development group as well. And it's outside of work, but it shows you how dedicated she is to really impacting leadership locally and with women, especially in development. So she has her own this group of amazing women leaders that she works with, that she's a part of also.
Wow. Is there a specific focus, like economic development or agricultural development with those women, or?
It's general leadership of an organization.
Okay.
How can you be a successful leader who impacts and inspires the people that you are leading to have that great team that can impact change? Yeah.
Okay. Do they cover kind of the full gamut then of topics, whether it's education, health, things like that? I mean, I'm speaking to the organizations that you're equipping. What kind of topics do they cover?
Oh, the organizations, we have some which are in health, environment, social justice, economic empowerment. Then we have those which are focused on women and youth. So they are different. We have 7 focus areas where we are working.
Wonderful. So very vast. That's great.
Yes.
Then the idea of having the sort of the wide range of development areas is, since we're rooted in the community, to be able to not just concentrate on one particular development sector and get really deep. We decided early on, let's focus on a broad range to be able to then to impact the entire community in all sectors, and showing the interconnection between it all. And then that will help uplift the entire community, not just one particular sector. And so it's a way for which, the organizations, again, it's that networking piece, it's that working together. If one organization's in WASH and then the other organization is working with women who need to access water, then they can join together, and it becomes this empowering way in which the whole community can then be successful.
Right. Sounds very holistic to really address all of the components, because it's a whole chain, and you need to have every link in that chain to be strong in order for it to be effective. So how can you be sure that the endeavors that you're funding are viable and will be sustained long term? What do you do to kind of monitor that?
Our program is deeply rooted in the belief that LPOs need to be sustainable. So all the work that we are doing is looking at creating strong and sustainable organizations. So that's why we focus on the system strengthening. And so we find that when these organizations have strong systems, they are able to have impact in their communities, and they're able to attract funders and other partners that want to work with them, because everyone wants to work with the winner. And we have different indicators that help us to track. We are looking at revenue, we are looking at beneficiaries, their interactions with funders. And so the data that we collect has really shown us that it's having impact. The budgets are growing, the beneficiaries are growing, and also their ability and capacity to attract partners to support their program has grown. So with that, we really feel that the work we are doing is having impact in the community.
Yeah. And it sounds like your donors are pretty behind you and pretty aligned on supporting this. Have you ever had, because I think, you know, with development, it's not, and you don't get an instant result always. And so sometimes there can be challenges in portraying to donors what the results are. Have you had any of that in your work? And could you say more about what that's looked like or how you've overcome it?
Yeah, sure. I think you totally hit the nail on its head. Where funders, you know, like I said before, we're not in this direct service business, so to speak, right? And so you don't have like, we built a well, and here it is, you know, like here's a photo, here's the people in the community like digging, all of that kind of fun stuff. And so it's hard to initially attract donors sometimes, right? Because they want to fund something tangible. They want to fund a project, and Fcde, we fund almost like a movement of these small grassroots organizations to really become sustainable and to build themselves up to be able to continue to work in the community successfully. And that takes a lot of, you know, dialogue and alignment with the right funders. And so it's been a challenge to find out who's willing to have that discussion, who's willing to look into this realm. And we've had success. You know, Siegel Family Foundation, I can give them a shout out because they were one of our earliest funders, and we've been a partner of theirs for 7 years, and they were amazing. And they really saw what we were doing in terms of the long-term benefits in the community. And there are a number of funders who once, you know, once we knock on the door and they open it for us, they'll be in. And so, but it's a constant challenge. I think Fcde is very innovative in terms of also funding and finding initiatives that are aligned with our mission and vision, and that might be more, you know, able to receive a sort of program funding, which I think a lot of funders want to do. They want to fund a program, they want to fund a project, rather than, you know, sort of the unrestricted funding for an organization. And so we've been able to do that with a variety of discrete projects that are aligned with us and are also helping support our partners in that way.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I really do think that in this sector, we need to have conversations about, you know, when you think about the project, if the project is sustainable, that's wonderful, then sure, fund that. But I think that we do, from a marketing standpoint and from a donor standpoint, there is kind of this desire to feel good about, like, I contributed to XYZ, which isn't always the most lasting or enduring project. And I think that, you know, my hope is that, you know, through conversations like these too, that donors will see that funding leaders, for example, or building capacity might not be as quantifiable, but that actually is having a more sustainable impact long term. And so, you know, the return on that investment in the end is much greater than the ROI on, say, a project, for example. So thanks for sharing a little bit about your experience in that. And I'm happy to hear too that you've had some really faithful supporters that are aligned with you on that, because it's important to have that, you know, for your ability to continue to advance your mission. So on that note, if anyone listening would like to support your work, what would be a good way for them to do that?
You know, reach out to us and call us. You can email me or Sylvia, or give us a shout, and we'll open up the dialogue and you know, tell you more about our program. If you're in Uganda, a site visit as safe as possible with COVID is always a way to get to know our partners and our staff. And we're always more than willing to have discussions and talks. There's a donate button on our website, but if you'd rather communicate, I know sometimes it seems very impersonal to just hit the donate button. So we're always open to talking to you. And if you want to learn more about our programming, please feel free. Yeah.
Perfect. And we will make sure that all of that is listed in the description below. So it's very easily accessible for anyone listening who wants to learn more or support your work. So